Hello and welcome to my screencast of the product for the ITGS internal assessment. In this video, I will guide you through this database, give demonstrations where necessary, and explain how the product is useful to my client. I will go through the access objects in order from top to bottom and then at the switchboard and then end at the switchboard form, which is the main menu. Here are the table relationships. One student can make any number of payments. It follows that for any student represented in the students table, there can be many payments represented in the payments table. The field called lessons paid for in the payments table is related to the field called sessions remain in the students table, in that two of the update queries will use and/or transfer data between these two fields. The payments table shows both the amount paid and the number of lessons paid for, and those are the key information Eric needs to keep track of students' payments. The relationship between students table and class table is many-to-many, so the booking table is created to keep a one-to-many relationship between tables, making it easier to manage data as well as allow Eric to keep track of who and how many attended what class. The field called attended in the booking table is linked to the field called sessions remain in the students table, in that the third update query uses the fields called attended and sessions remain updated in the booking table to manipulate the value in the field called sessions remain in the students table. Besides those key fields, the other fields in the four tables are all the information that Eric needs to manage the students, classes, and payments. Moving on to the forms. The class form allows Eric to create a new record in the class table with the Log New Class button in a distinguished position and color, and with all the fields displayed in an organized manner. This form is very useful, very user-friendly. This form creates a new record not only in the source table, but also in class and students form, which also uses the fields in the source table. The students and payment form shows the same user friendliness. And as you can see, all forms have the four buttons that help to navigate between records. The last form is the one that runs the update queries. There are 3 update queries. The first one that I'm going to talk about is the one that resets the field called sessions remain in the students table to 0. As you can see, this field was the easiest to create. This field should be done at the first day of each month, since this is Eric's payment cycle, which is regardless of how many sessions any student has remaining and regardless of when the student will pay next. The second query is the one that transfers the value of the field lessons paid for in the payments table into the field sessions remain in the students table, and then updates the Boolean field called sessions remain updated in the payments table. I wanted to make sure that the sessions remain field in the students table is definitely 0, and that Eric did not forget to use the reset query. I have set the criterion for this update to be so. The other criterion is that there must be a positive non-zero value in the lessons paid for field of the payments table. Otherwise, the transfer is meaningless. As a result, if Eric tries to use this query before he resets, only the students with 0 sessions remain get the transfer, which must be bigger than 0. So if the transfer is 0 for any of the student, then that student, whether or not they have 0 sessions, will not get the transfer either. For example, currently I have 8 as the value of sessions remain. So if I click transfer now, I should not get any change in value for my number 8. So if I go ahead and turn this off and click transfer, and as you can see, even if I turn it off and turn it back on, I still have 8. And if I open up the payment table and I create for another student, let's say Among-Dean, give the date as today. Oh, maybe I should give it as number 1. And I enter 0. Now if I try to transfer, I should not be able to, or at least not, the transfer would not happen. Yes, 0. And these sessions remain updated, remains unticked. As you can see, if the transfer happens, then the sessions remain updated to become ticked. Next, the last update query is the one that manipulates the value in the sessions remain field. How this works is, if and only if both the status for the student's attendance says yes, here, and the status for the sessions remain updated field in the booking table says no, here, and the student still has a value of sessions remaining bigger than 0, then subtract 1 from sessions remain field in the students table for all the records that have those criteria, and change the status of the sessions remain updated field in the booking table to say yes. Sessions remain updated field is always no, so just by ticking the attended field, Eric can use the update. And since the sessions remaining updated field will be changed to yes when the update happens, the next time Eric clicks yes for the attended box, the record with the unticked attended field would have already been associated with a different class ID and an unticked sessions remain updated field, whether or not it's the same student ID or a different one. Now if we return to this form, these buttons on this form will run the update queries. This runs the reset, this runs the transfer, and this one runs the subtraction. Eric's schedule holds different class types and class levels, and no class has a fixed register because students only need to pay for an amount of lessons, and then they can just show up randomly as long as they still have some amount of lessons remain after payment. People can just drop in randomly and pay for that one class as well. And so if we look at the payment records, this explains why Taka paid for one but has 0 sessions remain, because Eric can add and subtract right away. Here. Oh, because I just ran the update query, Taka now has 1 again. But I can then just run the subtract query by going to booking and taking Taka's number, which is 9, as attended, and now run the query. And that should take away Taka's number. Next, I created the reports. The classes and period report first asks for a start date and an end date, because the query that the report is based on has assigned the criterion between enter start date and enter end date. If I open up the design view here, this is very convenient for Eric because he can just view classes for the month or week if he chooses, instead of viewing every classes every time he opens the report. The time interval is also displayed in the report header next to the title, in case Eric forgets. The report shows only those who attended because that is also a criterion. The students and payment report has the same date parameter and no other criterion. Lastly, I created the main menu using the switchboard manager, which is very straightforward. These buttons are self-explanatory, and so I only had to try and error and figure out how to create these, which work perfectly. And if I choose to quit, that is what happens. Thank you very much.